Chag Kadosh, Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. In the Halachot of Birkat Hailanot, we know that when we go out during the month of Nisan, even though there was different minhagim exactly when, according to the halacha, it's when you go out in the month of Nisan. There was a minhag to do it during Chol Hamoed because of Rova Madra Melech. There were much more people around, or there were different minhagim. However, though, when a person comes and he starts during the month of Nisan and he sees that the trees start blossoming, you make the beracha, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu lecholam shelo chisar b'olamo klum, which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not make anything in this world which is lacking. V'ara briot tovot v'ilanot tovot, and He created, whether it's going to be good creations or good trees, right? Le'enot bahem b'nei adam, in order that people should benefit from them. And they made this institution, they instituted this beracha, because this is coming from one time to another time, that when a person comes and he sees that everything which was beforehand dry, and all of a sudden now HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes it blossom, so therefore we come and we make this beracha. Now even the women, right, they would do also Birkat Hailanot, because it's not a mitzvah to say Shazman Grama, even though again there were different minhagim to do with that as well. Now, to do with the actual beracha, it's better to do the beracha with 10 people. That we have 10 people getting together, and then afterwards they say also the Mizmor B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion, Hallelujah, Hallelujah Hashem min Hashamayim, and then they finish with Kaddish Yeshlama, and it's going to be an Ilui Neshama for all the Gilgulim which they were in the Domem and the Tzomeach, which means in the inanimate objects or in the objects which are flourishing, and therefore it's important that we should try to get a minyan for doing Birkat Hailanot. Obviously, if you cannot do it, so then you can't, but it's better to get a minyan to do it. Now, when a few people do it together, it's good that one person will make the beracha in Kol Ram, and everybody else are going to say it quietly. Now, even though usually because of Roma Madra Melech, one person makes the beracha, and he's motzi everyone else yidei chova. Nevertheless, since not everyone is bekiim, experts in being yidei chova, so therefore there was a minhag that everybody does it on their own, and therefore what happens is that everyone makes a beracha, but one person does it out loud, and everybody else does it quietly with them. Now, obviously, we don't make a Birkat Hailanot on a tree which does not give out fruit, right? So he says over here, nevertheless, if a person did make the beracha, so he says he does not make a new beracha afterwards. Some people say that you're not supposed to do Birkat Hailanot unless you see 2 trees which are blossoming, and some people say that even if it's going to be 1, you would be able to do it. So therefore, Lecha Techila, you should try to do it on 2 trees, right? But he says, but if you only find 1, so you would still make the beracha b'shem malchut. Now he says you're allowed to make them even on the same species, and if you're going to make them on different species, hadezem meshubach, it's even it's even better if it's going to be on multiple species, right? But he says, but if it's going to be even on the same species, you're going to be tzedek chovah. Now on Shabbat and Yom Tov, he says over here, you're allowed to make the beracha on Shabbat and Yom Tov, and we're not going to suspect that maybe you're going to come and pluck out the flowers or things like that. But lecha techila, it's better to do it during the weekday. Now, there is going to be differences of halachot. What happens if you didn't do it the first time around, right? Or, for example, he says the entire month of Nisan, because at the end of the day, it's lav davka in the month of Nisan, even if it's going to be in the month of Adar or other places also as well. So, right, for example, Chodesh Iyar. I remember in Toronto, the majority of the times they weren't able to do it in Nisan. Maybe this year they would, because obviously there was an extra Adar, but many times by the time it would start, they would do it usually in Iyar. Right, but it all depends on obviously circumstances. But lecha techila, obviously you should always wait for the month of Nisan and do it during the month of Nisan, unless there's because of circumstances you would lose the beracha. So then you would still be able to do it right in other times. And Mizrat Hashem, we continue throughout the week with other halachot of this, and then going through Pesach as well.